Hi, hey, hello, and welcome to my channel where I review movies, some good ones and some not so good ones, and we'll ask at the end, was it worth it? Was it worth a watch? Truly, was it worth a watch? We're gonna find out. Today, we'll be reviewing Tim Burton's 1989 Batman, starring Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and then we also have Batman's love interest, who's she takes up a lot of screen time. She's pretty irrelevant, but she's played by Basinger. Either way, let's get into the movie, shall we? All right, so the movie opens up, the opening scene, the big shot. We get a little kid and his family. They're kind of having the grandest of times. They're walking through Gotham. It's pretty riddled with crime at this point. You got mobsters and, women of the night and what have you, kind of just, all about the city. And you kind of think this is maybe the Bruce Wayne, the moment where he loses his parents and stuff, But shocker, it's not Bruce Wayne. No. Just a random kid and his rich mom and dad. And, they're just walking through Gotham, taking some shortcuts. So, they go through this crazy dark back alley. And, there's like an unhoused gentleman there asking for $1. The dad's like, I don't have $1 for you. I have nothing for you. So they go on their way. And then, a couple seconds later, the guy's like, well, screw this guy, man. I'm going to rob him, and him and his homie are like, give me your money. And, the mom's like, no. And the dad friggin' gets knocked out immediately. So they just help themselves to all the dollars that guy has and stuff. But lo and behold, freaking Batman's watching from up above, He's friggin' like a gargoyle type situation. He's like, what's going on down there? And I just saw these people take their dollars, so I'm going to go get their guys' friggin' money back. Yeah, that's my plan. So, they're on the roof, the two unhoused guys, they're just counting up their money, kind of having a discussion about, hey, have you heard about the Batman? And friggin' speak of the devil, here comes Batman himself, friggin' shows up, and he's like, floating down real slow, kind of has his whole Dracula vibe going. He's like a Dracula Batman with his cape and whatnot. And the one guy's like, I'm out of here. And friggin' Batman's like, I think not. Friggin' ninja kicks him through the door and friggin' immediately incapacitates him. And the other guy's like, well, I'm going to run. And friggin' Batman's like, I think not. I've got grappling hooks. So, here's the situation. I'm going to lasso you up and dangle you above the building so you learn your lesson. And the guy's like, begging for his life because, anybody would at that point. And he's like, please don't kill me, please. And Batman's like, I'm not going to kill you, but tell everybody, tell all your friends, Batman's in town now, and I'm out of here now. And he just kind of lets him have the money and leaves and, does like a disappearing jutsu, like a forbidden art, and jumps over the building and just vanishes into thin air. And then, that's the opening scene right there. It's pretty epic, honestly. And we get the scene cut, and it transitions to a press conference. You have a bunch of city officials there. You got the mayor. You got Police Commissioner Gordon. You have a space for Bruce Wayne, who isn't there because he's, fighting crime at this point and returning that guy's dollar to him. Then they have Harvey Dent, and, they're all, just kind of discussing how bad the crime is and addressing the press and saying, well, we got the new DA, Harvey Dent's no nonsense. He's going to fix these things. And, I know the mob's out of control, but he's going to fix these things, things of that nature. And then we cut to Jack Nicholson for the first time, and his character is Jack Napier. And he's there watching the press conference on TV, and he's like, this is a joke. I'm the best mobster in the town, and I run this town. I got half the police in my pocket and half the officials in the other. And, some woman walks in, and she's like, yeah, you're the best, but, if you get caught with me, you're in big trouble, mister. And he's, he's full of himself. He's like, don't flatter yourself, Toots. I'll never get caught. I'm too smart for that. Way too smart. And then that's pretty much the end of that scene. And then it cuts again, and we have the news agency, all the reporters are busy at work. They're trying to figure out who is Batman. He's, an 8-foot tall bat, and he sucks people's blood. And kind of the Dracula vibe, like pretty strange, but, whatever. Then after that, we cut to the mob. they don't tell you it's the mob, but you know it's the mob because Jack Nicholson is part of this, and there's some police officers there, and they're all discussing, we gotta go cover up our tracks about this chemical plant because we're involved in that, and we can't have it traced back to some city officials, and the whole thing. So then Jack's like, well, how about we go in there and we bust up the place and we make it look like corporate espionage, and we sabotage everything and we steal the paperwork that traces back to us. And the mob boss, his name's Grisham, he's like, yeah, you're my guy, you're my number one guy, you're so smart, I'm gonna send you and you oversee this. And at that point, I think he knew that Jack was kind of like sleeping with his wife, because the same woman that Jack was with kind of walks in and, rubs him on the shoulders and, implies that that's his lady. Anyway, so he goes, Jack, you're my number one guy. Go down there, make sure everything goes smoothly. And, Jack is kind of in a rock and a hard place. He can't really say no because, he's the top dog of the mob, and, he has to go. He's got to do what he's got to do. So he's like, can you send anyone else? And then Grisham, the mob boss, he's like, you're my number one. It has to be you. Take your lucky deck of cards. And they show like the Joker card, kind of some foreshadowing, because it's a chemical plant, some spooky stuff. And then that's the end of that scene. We then get a cutaway, and we get to the Wayne Manor, where they're throwing like an extravagant party, and the reporters are there, and I guess it's the after party for the earlier press conference. They don't say that, but I'm gonna assume, because it didn't it didn't really specify, but I'm gonna assume. So then we're at the Wayne Manor, and, they're having the big after party, or maybe just a party in general, because, Bruce Wayne's super rich. And he's like, yo, come over, all the people of the city, and, have a good time. I know crime is out of control, but come over here, and we're going to gamble and, drink champagne and stuff. That's, what they're doing. And then, so they're all kind of hanging out, having a good time. He meets Vicky Vale, who's an important character because it's his love interest. She's the reporter that you saw a little bit earlier. She's in Gotham to find out who is Batman. Little does she know that it's her boy Bruce here. Anyway, Alfred makes an appearance, and he's like, hey, Bruce, I need you in this room over here. And, he's watching his hidden cameras because at this point, somebody called Commissioner Gordon and is like, hey, they're attacking, there's an attack going on at the chemical plant down here, and you need to get down here right away. Little did he know that the guy calling him is just one of the mob-owned police guys. Like, they're just paying him because they want to set up Jack because of the lady, and they're like, the whole lady situation isn't cool, so let's kill him. So then, Jack's there, at the chemical plant. And he's trying to, bust up the place, smash pipes in and steal the paperwork. And then the police show up, and they're like handing out flyers to this guy. They're like, here's Jack Napier. If you see him, shoot him dead and kill him, because he's a criminal. He's a bad criminal scum. And then, Commissioner Gordon at this point shows up because he's like, screw this party, man. It sucks anyway. I'm out of here. I'm going to go down there and see what's going on at the Axis Chemicals. So he goes down there, and he's like, hey, you better not shoot this guy dead because we're police officers, and that's not what we do. Then at this point, it's just full-on chaos at the Axis Chemicals. It's like people are shooting, and there's pipes spewing steam and, I guess bad chemicals into the air because it's some sort of weird chemical plant. And it isn't good, you know what I mean? It's pretty chaotic at this point. Then Batman comes in, and he's, like a third party to this type of situation. He's like, no, I'm going to bust up these guys and stop all the crime myself. I know the police were here, but I'm Batman, bub, so freaking kick it. Get out of here, So then stuff goes haywire, as you would assume, and there's guns going off, and all the chemicals are exploding and stuff, and they kind of corner Jack Napier at this point, and he's kind of got his back against the wall. He's like, oh, crap, how do I get out of here now? Like, I realize I was set up. This is super not good. We're freaking shooting our way out of here. And Batman's having none of it, He's taking no prisoners. So he goes up there, and he's like, yo, I'm Batman, and you've been doing a lot of crime in this chemical plant, so I'm gonna arrest you and put you in the bat jail. But Jack is like, screw that, man, and freaking shoots at him. But the bullet ricochets and, kind of backfires and scars his face horribly, which is how he gets his weird smile. And then, the catwalk that they're on starts collapsing. Super not good. And then Batman's like, well, I guess I'll save him. And then he, I don't know, I guess he purposely threw him into the chemical lava at this point, because he's like pulling him up to save him, and then he just drops him and lets him go, which I thought was super freaking messed up, man. Like, you're supposed to be a hero / vigilante, not like a murderer, dude. So it turns out that Jack didn't die in the chemicals, but he was horribly maimed. He goes into some sort of black market type doctor who fixes his face. And he has this whole emotional breakdown. I was like, well, look, I did the best I could with some rusty pliers and a rusty saw. But it is cool because we get a really cool scene of Jack Nicholson doing a pretty cool, creepy Joker laugh, which actually probably to this day is one of the best Joker laughs, I'll be honest. But then, that's the end of that scene. Then we go back to the mob and, the Grisham guy and all those people. And Joker shows up, and he's pretty mad at this point. He's like, you guys betrayed me. So he starts just shooting everyone, thinking my way or the highway type of situation. One of the guys protests, and he's like, oh, you're funny. And the guy's like, why do you have that weird, stupid smile? And he's like, because, my life's great. And he pretty much goes over there and electrocutes him with some sort of handshake electrocution type situation. It's a pretty gruesome moment because the guy just kind of melts and all that, which is kind of strange for a Batman movie. I mean, I thought they were aimed for a younger audience, but that was a straight up murder. So we have another scene transition after the murder. We have, because Grisham's dead at this point, so we have another press conference with the surviving mobsters are like, hey, we're going to absorb his businesses because we're good friends and he's missing. So until he comes back, we're going to be taking care of his affairs. And the news reporters are like, oh, wow, you guys must be really close and all that. And all lies, obviously, but Jack, the Joker shows up at this point, pulls up in his car, and he's like, oh, heck no, man, I just murdered those guys, murdering them too. So he friggin' throws a feather pen at them, like a quill, and he's making jokes about how cool it is to murder. It's not good. And we cut scene, and we see Alfred and Bruce. They're at their Wayne Manor, and they're watching the news, kind of just enjoying some cereal. And they're like, oh, man, the Jack Napier's back. I threw him in the lava, and he's, the acid lava, he's still alive. This isn't good. He's more angry than ever, and he looks crazy. He's out of his mind. And, I mean, what did you expect? You threw the guy in freaking acid lava, man. Of course he's going to be a little ticked off, Then we get a scene transition where Vicky is now going on a date with Bruce because, they met at the party, and they had, a moment. He's like, she complimented all his weird art, so he's like, yeah, this girl's cool, and she's like, yeah, this guy's awesome. So they have a date, and they're getting along swimmingly, and they have dinner at this weird big table because Bruce is filthy rich, and no one lives there, so they're freaking on opposite ends of a 12-15 person table. It's just a silly moment, but then it kind of just wraps up where they get along, they start kind of having conversation. It's really a lot of filler, but they wind up sleeping together, which is not good, because then Bruce is like, I love this girl, and Alfred is like, yeah, you really gotta settle down and be a good guy and stop being Batman and maybe marry her. You've only met her once, but she's a great lady. I don't know, it's bizarre, honestly. So, they have a good time, and Vicky is super kind of in love with Bruce at this point. It's the morning after, and, they slept together. They had a whole wild night of fun. But Bruce is like, I gotta go. I'm a rich guy, and I'm super busy today. I have a lot of meetings to get to. And she's upset. She's like, well, why can't you see me? And he's like, I got meetings. It's just stuff. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll see you later. And says bye to Alfred. Bye, Alfred. And he's like, oh, we don't have anything going on. I mean, he's total dick move on Alfred. But anyway, she's like super suspicious at that point. So she follows Bruce around, and you kind of see Bruce go to a random alley and like put flowers down. And I mean, the audience, we all know it's because where his family died and stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's that scene. And we get a scene cut, and it transitions back to the mob. At this point, Jack Napier, the Joker, he fully is in control. He's the top dog at this point. He's going through some pictures and watching the news, and he's getting upset because they're still just talking about Batman, and he's like, dude, what do I got to do to get some attention in this place, And he sees one of the main reporters is Vicky Vale, and he's like, whoo, I gotta have her, gotta have her. And so then he gets a bright idea, like, let me, set her up. I'll pretend to be Bruce Wayne, because I know they're dating somehow. They don't explain that, but he pretends to be Bruce Wayne and calls her up and is like, hey, meet me at the museum and we're going to have a great time because we both like art. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll meet you there. And she's there, kind of looking around, she's waiting at the museum for Bruce. And suddenly a bunch of Joker gas comes in, and, a little mask falls so she can breathe and not, get poisoned. And everybody gets poisoned except her, and the gas disperses. She takes off her mask, and in comes the Joker, and he's just literally so crazy. He starts destroying all of the art. Like, it's just priceless artifacts, and he's just destroying them. Anyway, he's like, hey, how are you? I want you to be my lady. And she's like, you're terrifying. No way. I'm so scared. And, Batman at this point, he knows something's up. So he friggin' comes in there on his grappling hook. He's got grappling hooks for days. Kind of has some words with the Joker, little type of showdown, And then he saves Vicky. He's like, we're out of here. I'm saving you. You're full on rescue now. So then you have Bruce show up to Vicky's house, and he's apologizing for avoiding her. He's feeling pretty guilty about his meetings, and he's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I care about you a lot. We had a great night out together, and I love you. And she's like, gonna forgive him and whatnot, but they're interrupted from a knock on the door, and it's surprise, it's the Joker. He found out where Vicky lives and is trying to kidnap her and make her his woman and stuff like that. Pretty evil things. And Bruce is like, hey, who the heck are you? You're a crazy guy. And he's like, yeah, I am crazy. And he's like, well, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts, guy. And Joker just kind of is like, no, I'm just going to shoot you. And he says the same line to Bruce that Joker says to all his victims, And lo and behold, the Joker actually shot Bruce's parents when he was Jack Napier. This is our full circle moment here. He said the same line to all his victims because he likes the way it sounds. So Bruce at that point is like, oh, this is personal, man. Like, forget this guy. Batman's going to friggin' destroy him and rip him apart, And then that's the end of that scene because we think Bruce is dead, but he's actually bulletproof. So he grabs a little metal plate and kind of protects himself with it, because you just can't kill the Batman. Bullets don't affect him whatsoever. It doesn't even matter if he has this bulletproof suit on. He's like, I'm literally Batman, dude. What are you going to do? Anyway, after that, friggin' Bruce disappears again because this is what Bruce does. He's got more meetings to attend. And then we cut scene. We transition over to the Joker on the news because he can, I guess, just hijack the news signal. So he's like, hey, I'm the Joker and I'm going to run this town and I'm going to give you guys a bunch of free money because the city just sucks and I'm great. So come meet me here and don't ever talk about Batman because he's a bad guy and I'm a good guy. So if you want to, show me who you are, Batman, meet me here. And it's the big climax at this point. So after we see the Joker on the news, kind of giving his little speech about, hey, I took off my mask, Batman, take off yours. I'm going to give all these people free money. Come meet me here. He's like, oh, hell no, dude. He gets in his bat whip and he's like, oh, I'm going to friggin', let's get it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go get this guy. Go to this parade where the friggin' Joker's holding some celebration about free money. And, he has big parade balloons. He's like, nah, I'm not having it. I'm going to capture this guy. But little did we know, the balloons are full of gas, so the Joker's just basically trapping people and gonna kill, like, you know, whoever wanted the free money. So he's like, you're all dead, ha ha ha, tricked you. And Batman's there because he's like losing it, dude, you know, and he's full on unhinged because he's gonna get the murderer of his parents. So he starts popping all the balloons. He's like, I'm gonna ruin your party, man, like, you know, definitely gonna ruin this, because he's got actually a jet too. They never show him get in it, but he's now in a plane. So he's like shooting the plane and shooting missiles at everything, and he definitely kills quite a few people, like, with the missiles. Like, there's no way you couldn't, you know. But Joker freaking loses it. He's like, dude, I paid a lot of money for these balloons and these party decorations. Like, how dare you do this crap to me? Like, you're a piece of crap, Batman. I'm just trying to, you know, have some fun out here. And Batman's like, no, you killed my parents. I can't understand it. You need to go. And Joker's like, well, you created me. You put me in the acid lava, so we need each other. You know, they have a big showdown, and, you know, they kind of fight, and Joker's running, and Batman's throwing grappling hooks at him and stuff. And Joker's like, well, psych, I'm out of here because you crashed your jet, and it's out of missiles, and I have a helicopter, so I'm just going to climb up on my helicopter. So he's on he's hanging on by the helicopter ladder, and he's about to escape. And Batman's like, well, you forget I have grappling hooks or what, guy? So he freaking throws it at his leg, and, you know, traps him, because he then ties the other end to, you know, like the ground. So he's like, the higher you go up, you know, you're gonna friggin' die, and definitely committed a murder here, because then Joker, you know, plummets down like 100 stories to his death, and, you know, that's pretty much the end of that. It's that guy. Like, I mean, no one's living through that. And then it's the end of the battle, like the big showdown, you know, after a bunch of fighting and shooting of the missiles and popping of balloons. You know, it's kind of over at this point. So then we cut scene, and it's, you know, the Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Dent are like, yeah, we're fully behind this Batman guy. He really helped us out, you know. He saved the day big time, and he even donated a big spotlight, and we put a big bat on it. So when we need him, we're gonna use this, and we'll shine it into the air, and, you know, make it a big thing, and we're gonna put it downtown. And then, you know, that's the end of the movie. Actually, that's pretty much it. Batman gets with Vicky, he saves her, he stops the Joker, you know, then he goes back to the Bat Cave and in the manor and kind of chills, you know. But overall, was the movie worth watching? I would say yeah. I mean, it was probably like the second time in my life I've seen it. It was made before I was born, so yeah, it was definitely worth watching at least once. I mean, Jack Nicholson as the Joker alone was pretty worth it. But, you know, I mean, it didn't age super great. There are some really cheesy, cartoony, like, cringy moments. I mean, maybe that's what they're going for. It was directed by Tim Burton. So, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Tim Burton. He's just always weird and makes everything weird. And, I mean, Batman's already kind of weird, so you didn't really need to add the added weirdness to it. But what are you gonna do? You know, it's Hollywood. But Michael Keaton did really good as Bruce Wayne. Wouldn't say he was the best Batman, but he was definitely a pretty cool Bruce Wayne. He had that suave, you know, he definitely pulled that off. So I would say between Michael Keaton and, you know, Jack Nicholson, they kind of carried the movie. Without them, I don't think it would be worth watching. But yeah, overall, I would definitely recommend watching at least once, if not for like the nostalgia purposes. It was a good laugh, and it had some pretty good scenes, you know, maybe like 3 or 4 throughout the whole movie. But I will say it had a lot of filler, a ton of filler. Could have done without like half of the, I mean, it was a 2-hour movie, and I want to say like at least 45 minutes of it was just literal nonsense. Like, you know, they show characters that have no meaningful impact to the plot. And, you know, they really hyper-focused around Bruce and Vicky. And, I mean, it wasn't really necessary. But it was cool to see, you know, the Joker get a backstory of some kind. Because usually he's just kind of an enigma. And, you know, you don't really know where he comes from or why he is the way he is. So that was kind of cool. And I kind of like how they tied them together. You know, like he murdered his parents, and Batman threw him into the acid lava. So, you know, they kind of created each other in a sense. But, you know, yeah, it's worth watching at least once. Well, that does it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. You want to get nuts? Well, let's get nuts.